Alright guys, today's an update video on my supercharged N52 330i. I don't remember exactly what I changed since the last update video, so I might repeat a couple things. First things first, since the last video, I think I was making 408 wheel horsepower. Now we're making 480 wheel horsepower. Here's the dyno here. You can see that linear power curve all the way up to redline. I went from an E30 blend to full E85 for fueling. And we dropped down from a 3.4 inch pulley to a 3.25 inch pulley. The 3.25 inch makes boost sooner than the 3.4 inch pulley, and it makes about 14 PSI at redline. We also increased the redline from 7,000 to 7,500. This allows the engine to stay at a higher boost level after each shift. I also increased the meth nozzles. I forget exactly what cc, but it is bigger than it was. I ended up deleting the blow-off valve too. I'm spraying a lot more meth now, and I didn't really like venting all that fuel vapor into the air. So I just used this nice little Turbo Smart block-off plate to block off that port. Another thing I did is upgrade the methanol lines from nylon to stainless steel AN lines. I think I may have had these in the last video, but I went through and replaced all the engine bay hardware with titanium. This heat shield is new. This is a brand new product from 22 RPD. Super nice, looks amazing in the engine bay. This is made for the top mount turbo guys, since the turbo sits right here, and this will shield the valve cover, coil packs, and the valve cover gasket from that heat that the turbo generates. Obviously I don't have a turbo, but the nice thing is these can also just be used as vanity covers for cleaning up the engine bay and hiding all those wires that are underneath the coils. These are available now on 22rpd.com, and I'll put a link for them in the description. We've got covers for N51, N52, plastic valve cover, aluminum valve cover, magnesium valve cover, all of them. They're available on 22rpd.com, and I'll put a link in the description. Other big news, I pinned the crank hub. This is definitely a good idea to do past that 450 wheel horsepower range, especially on a fast shifting automatic transmission. This is because that crank pulley has to spin the supercharger, and the smaller you go on the supercharger pulley, the more work you're putting on the crank hub. This is more of an issue on the ZF transmissions, especially with the trans tune, because that torque is being applied very quickly between shifts on that crank hub. Manual transmission cars don't see this happening as much. For example, the Racing Jake with the blue E92 supercharged N52, he's been tracking his manual supercharged N52 for years and never had a crank hub issue. But this is good insurance to do if you're really pushing the power levels, especially with an auto. 22 RPD will be doing a custom transmission tune on my 6HP21 swap soon. So this was nice insurance to do before I start blasting through gears. Another thing I did was install this aluminum power steering pulley from Euro Parts. Usually I don't buy Euro Parts, but they are the only ones who make this for the N52. My plastic power steering pulley was kind of crumbling, so I just wanted to replace that. Another update on the water methanol system. I ordered a 1.25 gallon methanol tank from Berger Motorsports. Just waiting for that to come in to hold a bit more methanol and have a higher capacity so that I don't have to fill it up as often. While I had everything off to do the pin crank hub underneath the car, I installed a new steering rack. The original steering rack on the car had about 250K miles, and it was starting to get a bit loose, even with all solid bushings, M3 control arms, everything up front. Under hard braking, the front would get a little bit darty, and it kind of followed the divots in the road on the highway due to the play inside the steering rack. So I replaced the whole steering rack. All new CHF fluid and inner and outer tie rods, got in alignment, drives perfectly now. Little aesthetic update, I went from the white LED halos to amber, and I think it looks so much better. I think it really adds some nice contrast to the white car versus the white LEDs, which didn't really stand out. Another huge update, I replaced the transmission, which had about 250K on it. It was the 6HP 19. It was getting tired before I put the supercharger on it. After I put the supercharger on it, it was struggling a bit on hard launches going from first to second gear. Sometimes it would bang off the limiter. If it was low miles and healthy, it would have been fine for the boost, but mine was super tired already due to nitrous abuse, drag racing, tracking it, high mileage, never did the mechatronic solenoids, all that. So I bought a 6HP 21 for my friend Yuri. Has about 130K miles on it. I went ahead and replaced the fluid with Adrenaline SS, and I replaced the mechatronic solenoids, pan, and did all the mechatronic seals, and it is a night and day difference. It shifts super fast, never skips a beat. Insane how much different this car is to drive now with a proper transmission in it. That being said, that was just on the XHP Stage 3 off-the-shelf flash. I didn't mess with any of the settings. I wanted to take care of that crank hub at this power level first, just because the more aggressive you go on the shifts, the more torque you're slamming into that crank hub. So now I'm going to have 22 RPD do that custom transmission tune and really maximize the shift speeds and the torque maintained throughout the shifts. Really looking forward to that, because as it is, it's shifting super fast and it feels great. I was almost going to do the 8HP swap, but I didn't have the budget for it at the time. With the CANT ECU and the other little things you need to make it work, it would have been about $2,000 extra than the 6HP 21 swap. If you are interested in doing a 6HP 21 swap, I did write a full article step-by-step on how I made it work in my car. I'll link that in the description. It's pretty straightforward. It took a little effort for me since I didn't see anyone else document it step-by-step, so I kind of had to figure things out as I went. But now that there is a guide for it that I wrote, it should be pretty easy for anyone else to do. I finally replaced my crusty fake suede AliExpress steering wheel wrap for a real Alcantara one. I installed it myself, did the stitching as best as I could. Really like how that turned out. I went from that white stripe to the blue for that M Performance look. I haven't done anything else with the interior besides warm LED lights for all the interior lights. I don't think I had this fire extinguisher mounted here last time. That's hard mounted to the bracket that sits underneath the carpet. And then I also installed the rear seats again. I had to put some more weight back in the car because I was having a hard time getting traction with the added power from the supercharger. I'll be replacing these 335i brakes for these F30 Brembos 4-piston. Shout out to Adam for doing a absolutely fantastic job on painting these. Super stoked to get these installed. I have OEM 2-piece rotors and Ferodo DS2500 pads to go along with them. Just waiting for the pads to come in to throw these bad boys in. These aluminum calipers from the F30 fronts, the 340 millimeter, are actually lighter than the OEM 335 rears, which are way smaller, but they are cast iron instead of aluminum. So that's pretty crazy. Future plans, hit 500 wheel horsepower. We'll be doing that soon. And we'll have some more exciting news coming soon this year from 22 RPD. So stay posted for that on my Instagram and 22 RPD's Instagram. And if you want help building your N52 or have any specific questions that you need one-on-one help from me, I have a link in the description and the pinned comment for my private Discord. You can join the YouTube membership for $10 a month. Ask me as many questions as you like. I can help you one-on-one in the Discord and have my first priority responses, as it is hard to get back to everyone on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, etc. So I do miss a lot of comments. This helps support what I do with N52s, and this also gives you guys a direct line to me for advice or help on your individual builds with any specific questions you have. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment for the algorithm. Peace.